Hello, and happy Halloween and fall season. I sit here on my porch looking at the crisp fall leaves, the slight chill in the air, and rain. It's nice. I think about what Halloween means and the holiday, and I really, this is something I've been a strong advocate for, is that Halloween doesn't equal horror. As many people will come to believe, like, Halloween, they talk about is supposed to be scary. And there's elements, yes, and there's spiritual, yes, okay? But Halloween is not a 1-to-1 ratio of horror. Halloween is a holiday that has its roots in many cultures, from festivals and different traditions. It's why, like, when I talked before about spooky season, I talk about September being kind of my monster season and a little bit more of the horror-esque things. But I don't watch, like, horror movies that, like, slashers, for example, except Halloween, because that actually was smart by putting it at the holiday. But, like, I don't do Scream. As big as a fan I am of the Scream franchise, I don't do them this time of year. I don't do, like, much other just horror for horror's sake. September, like I said, is my ramp up, and I have my proto Halloween types things and that I like to watch. And I wanted to pitch this, and it's kind of a weird pitch because it's a reboot remake with just some discussion as a kind of rally behind the concept. And what I wanted to talk about today was Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree. This is a story, the book, that I read a little bit when I was a child. And then they made the animated special, the Cartoon Network one, which I bought on DVD, which I own. And then I read the book a few years ago. Jania bought me the book. And then we read it last year. And this year we're going to do it a little bit differently. I found a really great audiobook, and we're going to do the audiobook with the kids a little each night. And the concept of the story is great. You have this character of Monshroud who interacts with this group of, children. And I think that my pitch is just slightly tweaking what they did with the animated special, because the animated special was written by Ray Bradbury. And what he does is he condenses some of his characters from the book down, so that we're only dealing with like 5 kids. It's set in a Midwestern town. For some reason, I always put it in Ohio in my brain, maybe. But what I like is it takes you through the history of Halloween and the horror, like how all the elements of the holiday tie together. And my pitch is about, with the Halloween Tree, is kind of mixing elements of the first Hocus Pocus, which I really like because it's not a perfect film, but there's some dark stuff that's discussed in that gets glossed over. And there's an eeriness and a creepiness, but there's also just an overall vibe to that film. I'm not a fan of the second one, and I'm not going to rant about it here, but I did not like the second one. With a touch of The Sandlot, and I would set this Halloween Tree in like 1958-59, right before the turn, because there's themes about that I think that connects to the characters. Like, there's each one of the children dresses up as an archetype-based Halloween costume, right? And they explore the history of those elements, being we have a gargoyle, a witch, a mummy, a skeleton, and we can hit on all those tropes. And I think with the witch, having the girl set in that time period really hits, because a lot of historical witches were women who tried to assert themselves and have some sort of control and power in their life, and how they were met by stepping out of social norms, and they were really a woman's empowerment. And there's so many films that attempt to reach this type of tone that I'm describing. Is like, we had ones that were pseudo there, such as I'm currently watching Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark because when I learned that it takes place on Halloween, I became more interested in it. So I'm watching that right now. But we had a little bit ago, like the Jeff Wadlow directed. It's Hollow. It's something Hollow with Stingy Jack and Marlon Wayans. It's on Netflix, and it was okay. It tried to hit this type of tone that I'm talking about. Even Goosebumps 2 tried to hit that, where it was the haunted Halloween, which for some reason they ditched the secondary title and just made it Goosebumps 2. But even the Goosebumps shows hit this type of tone where it's creepy, but it's atmospheric. And I think The Halloween Tree would be a great film in that, where we explore the elements of ghosts and witches and black cats and, the mummies and how it's ancestral worship and Samhain, because even the spirit of Samhain is a character in the book. And it's the type of Halloween movie that you can make every year that someone turns into, because it's about the holiday. It has jumps, thrills, chills. It's not gory. It's family oriented. But it explores what the holiday is. And I think that's what we're missing a lot, is the understanding what Halloween is all about. We have great, more adult type stories with, Mike Dowdery's Trick or Treat, where it explores Halloween customs and traditions. But I like the historical elements being built in, and you take these kids on a ride and on a journey, and it has kind of that 80s Spielbergian, yes, I said Spielbergian, like E.T., Goonies type vibe as well, that we cling to with this adventure, but we're all doing it at the core of the holiday of Halloween. Like I said, the TV version is great. It's animated, but I think you do a live action version, you amp it up, you bring in the characters more, you add extra layers, and it can be kind of a coming of age story as well, that just really brings home Halloween and becomes something that the kids can enjoy year after year after year and pass down and become some sort of a tradition. We have so many films that are Christmas traditions, that are family oriented, that pass down every year that you can enjoy. And there's not as many good Halloween ones, because like I said, Halloween doesn't mean horror. So if you've never read it, it's not a long book. And you can find audio versions at your library. And there's probably an audio version on YouTube if you look for The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. But that image of a tree that is pretty much dead with pumpkins hanging off of it would be just stark and thrilling. And we live where people like that aesthetic. Like, recently this past year we saw Beetlejuice. And surprisingly, it was a movie that took place at Halloween. So it would be a great one to revisit. It was like the closest that Tim Burton had actually come to actually doing something with the holiday. Yes, he produced and wrote Nightmare Before Christmas, but he didn't direct it, okay? So I just feel the Halloween Tree would be a very great project to get off the ground. So this season, let's pitch the Halloween Tree, people. Get it out there, and let's make it a thing. Last year, the special was on Tubi. Hopefully it'll be back on. I haven't seen it yet on Tubi, but I've been watching my DVD. So happy Halloween.